Hey guys, Jeffrey Cundy here. Thanks for watching today. In this video, we're going to talk about gear and specifically gear on a budget. So this video is going to be great for those of you who are wondering what to buy next or wondering how to spend your money in this massive world of gear that we live in. First of all, let me say that I own a lot of gear, but I didn't buy it all at once. I collected it over the years. I've been playing guitar now for about 20 years, and I've just been collecting gear over time, keeping what I like, selling what I don't like. And that's the name of the game, is really being able to cycle through gear, find out what's best suited for you, and doing it in a way that you're not losing money in the process. So oftentimes I'll recommend people to go ahead and buy used off of Reverb or eBay, and it's a great way to be able to try gear out without breaking your bank account, because you can always just sell the gear if you ended up not being able to afford it, or you can't use it for some reason, or it's just not a good fit. You can resell it for mostly the same price that you bought it, minus a few fees. So if you're really struggling with your budget and not sure how to make all this stuff work, go ahead and buy used. It's a great way to go. With buying gear, there's an order that I like to recommend people to buy gear in, and that's because some gear helps shape your tone more than other gear. Some gear is more important than other gear when you're spending your money. So knowing how to direct your bank account towards a goal, you have to know what's more important than other things. So I'm going to list out and in order of what I think you should be buying, and hopefully this helps. So first of all, we're going to start with amps, because amps are the most important tool that in your bag that is going to shape your sound. If you're playing a bad amp, you're just going to sound bad. It's really hard to make a bad amp sound good. It's easier to make a bad guitar sound good through a great amp. So number one, buy a great amp. This is one area where I don't cut corners on. I don't necessarily recommend going too cheap on, because a great amp is going to really cost you money, but it's going to pay off in your sound. And a cheaper amp isn't going to let you get a great sound, just period. So the cheapest amp that I found is the Vox AC15 hand wired, and this amp will run you $12.99. I'm not sponsored by Vox. I'm not saying this to make money or anything. I'm just telling you this is the cheapest amp that I personally would use, that I personally would buy. Now, I do own an even cheaper amp. It's the Fender Blues Junior, and it runs you about $5.99, and that amp is cool. It's more of an American style amp, and you can get great Fender-ish tones out of it, but for a lot of my sounds, I tend to use the British style amps, which was really invented by Vox. I use Jackson Ampworks, I use Britain, I use Bad Cats, and I use Matchless as well, but Vox is sort of the godfather of it all, and they're making this great 15 watt single 112 speaker amp for $12.99. So I really recommend that amp. You can find it on my website underneath this video, and go check it out. All right, next I recommend building a great pedal board. Pedal board will help shape your sound. Second most important piece of gear in your arsenal is going to be your pedal board. There's really 4 or 5 main pedals that I recommend getting. First would be a tuner. Next would be compression. And by the way, this is the order in which I would order your pedal chain. Next would be drive. Next is delay. And finally reverb. And again, below this video are all the main, I think, standard pedals that if I were to go back and buy pedals on a strict budget, these are the pedals that I would get. I would get the tuner, the Polytune Mini. I would get compression next. Compression is a huge, important part of a pedal board, because compression will help balance your signal. It'll help take all the low soft stuff and bring it up to a certain volume. It'll help balance the hot gain when you're really hammering on the guitar. So it just makes your it makes guitar playing easier, and it helps with tone immensely. So compression, I recommend the Walrus Audio Deep 6 compressor. For the drive, I recommend a Mad Professor Little Green Wonder. This is a pedal that I've used for years, dating back to maybe 2008, 2007. It's never come off my pedal board because it's just so great. It has that natural, smooth drive sound. It's got a great EQ. It doesn't cut low end. It doesn't cut high end. It doesn't cut mids. It's just like plain and simple, the best drive pedal I've found. You can get the hand-wired version or the stock, how do you say it? Hand-wired or just the production line version. Delay pedal, delay and reverb, you can really go cheap on. You don't have to get the most expensive delay and reverb out there, although it does really help, and you're going to want it eventually. To start out with, delay, I don't care too much about delay. Digital delay, analog delay, it's just repeating sound for me. So I don't, and especially when I'm recommending people to go on a budget, I just say, you know, go out there and get something with a tap tempo that sounds good to you. A good one would be the, I think it's called, it's the DD7. Boss DD7, and that's going to run you about 170 bucks. Reverb, Boss RV5 or RV6 is going to be awesome. It's got a stereo output so you can run 2 amps if you're ever in a situation where you're able to run 2 amps at one time and get a nice wide signal. It's got sick tones. I love the Boss RV5. I used to use it for years and years and years. I actually wish I still had one. I would still be using it. I just haven't picked one up since I sold mine years ago. Now they're making the RV6, which is still really great. So that's my recommendation with pedals. Finally, a guitar. If you're just not loving your guitar, or you just need to upgrade to something that's just going to always work, I always recommend buying a Tele. Fender Teles are amazing. They sound good all the time. They're so easy to plug in and just make sound good. The Fender makes a Mexican series, which is great for people on a budget. It just uses a little bit cheaper components and cheaper tone pots. They're not cheap guitars. They're just built a little bit less expensively than sort of the American series. Those are $600, and I would definitely buy one if I was on a budget. They're going to last you a long time. You're not going to want to throw it away after a year. You're going to love it. So all that together, Fender, I'm going to write this down, Fender Tele is going to run you, I totaled it out for you, $2,663 if you were to buy all of it. A lot of us don't have $2,663 laying around, but you can start building it, and that's the order I would build it in. Amp first, great quality amp, then build a pedal board that is going to cover the width of sound that you're going to need, and then finally the Fender Tele is going to be your best go-to workhorse for most of your guys' situations. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.